The original Tyson.
Peace and greetings. Welcome to the Original Titan channel. If it's your first time, what we're doing is talking about ascension. We're talking about how to do that with cosmic electricity. We're also talking about what we could do to keep ourselves transcending. Okay? And today, we want to talk about the electromagnetic part of our brain. We have 3 levels. The last time we talked about gravitational part of our brain. Today we're going to talk about the electromagnetic part of our brain, and then finally we'll wind it up with the biopsychic part of our brain. So up to this point, we've only been operating with a small portion of our brain capacity because we are preoccupied by the external world. Are we not? We let the outside circumstances decide for us so that we don't have to think. We let the government do it. Insurance companies do it. We let the institutions do it. Schools do it. Machines do it. Our will to exert what we know is greatly undermined. As technology speeds up and expansion increases, the cyber technology and electronic technology is impacting us, the human mind and the senses, so swiftly that there's no space set aside for us to engage in some type of social assessment of that impact. How is it affecting our brain, our avatar, our function as a human, as a superhuman, to get to higher stages of mind? Our brain power is usurped by machine consciousness. We're existing in a narrow third dimensional frequency, using only 10% or less of our brain. Dissatisfaction and boredom are signals for us to rise above our present state of consciousness, and we must transcend. But if we don't exert the will to transcend with patience, because we got to have patience for it. It's not going to happen microwave, okay? If we don't do that, we're going to end up recycling the same thought forms, the same perceptions, the same old stuff. And this becomes, you get dissatisfied, you get bored, you get, just the same cycle. So what we need to do is do a Clark Kent. We do a Clark Kent, everybody know who that is, Superman, by assessing our higher self through our mental spheres. That's how Clark Kent assessed his higher self, his superpowers. It was actually through the mental spheres. But of course, you can't show a person's brain or thought wave on a screen, okay? Back then, they didn't have that technology, and I'm not sure they have the technology now. So therefore, they showed him going into a phone booth, communicating, and he changed clothes in the phone booth, okay? To show that he was going out of the regular old mundane mind, going into a higher form and thought of mind. Mental spheres. We hear about it all the time, but what are they? In the case of the electronic part, or the electromagnetic part of our brain, I should say, these mental spheres consist of the superconscious, which is actually on the left side, upper left ear, but it's going to control the right side of your brain. That's the superconscious. And what does that mean? Superconscious is dealing with our higher self. It's dealing with the universal mind. When we get to the 7th mental sphere, we're talking about the heart. We're talking about the hollow mind perceiver. We're talking about a higher self, okay? Not just a higher mind, but a higher self. Then when we get to the subliminal consciousness is located above the right ear, but it operates on the left side of the brain. And that's going to involve the sphere of telepathy reception, meaning that we can go into distant, parallel, alternative universes. We can even pick up universal signals from distant places. We experience deja vu, maybe some ear ringing, hypnagogic experiences. Okay. When we talk about all these things, first of all, let us define electromagnetic. All forms of electricity. When we say electromagnetic, we're talking all forms of energy. We're talking solar and cosmic radiation. We're talking plasmas. We're talking auroras. As a matter of fact, we're talking what we hear in science today. Anyone who has ever been to suspiciousobservers.com or to NASA or to any of the YouTube videos that are dealing with all of the energy coming from the sun, then we want to think electromagnetic because it's electricity being magnetized. So, since we know about the mental spheres, what are we, how are we tapping into energy, electricity, cosmic radiation, aurora energy that's coming further and further south? How are we using that for our higher self? How are we tapping in? How are we tapping in for our enlightenment, for our heart's sake, for our higher self's sake, using this electromagnetic brain of ours? Okay? How are we using it for the subliminal consciousness? Are we willing to be a receiver of universal information, a transmitter for universal information? How are we plugging in? Because if we're not aware that we have an electromagnetic brain that's dealing with all of this different soup of electricity, then that means that we will be subjected to what is being directed toward us by the globalists. Now, there's a lot of talk about the metaverse. There's a lot of talk about how it's already here, actually. And a lot of people aren't even aware that they are already participating in the metaverse. Okay? You might want to say, well, how is that? When we remember, we talked about gravitational, what mass, what forms of thoughts, was gravitating toward us, and how were we dealing with that from the subconscious level to our conscious level? If we find that we are in control of what we're gravitating to us from our mental spheres, from what we're thinking and what we're desiring and what we're intending to accomplish, and we figure, hey, I'm on the good foot, then we have to look at what type of energy, okay, of what we say we want. What type of energy are we able to tap into to maintain in continuing consciousness, which is the fourth mental sphere, so that the superconscious, which is what we're talking about now with the electromagnetic grid of our brain, so that it can take hold, and that the universal mind could make happen in the superconscious from electromagnetic forms of energy, electricity, radiation, auroras, all of it. We have to take control of our own destiny, because we all have ability to tap into this electromagnetic energy on our brain, first and foremost, and what is coming onto the planet, and indeed in the solar system. What is it going to do? It is going to help to bring to life what gravitated to you in the first part of your brain, which was the front. Remember, the subconscious and the conscious? Electromagnetism is going to, boom, give it the heat, give it the energy, the will, all right? And then from there, we're going to get into biopsychic part of our brain, which is basically the spiritual aspect of our mind, will, and spirit. And it deals with intelligence, and we're going to get into that on the next video. For right now, let's think about how this electromagnetic energy is affecting our will, our intentions. Are we able to tap in to bring life to our intentions and desires and thought forms that are in divine will? Okay? That's how I'm going to leave it for right now. Hope that everyone has a wonderful plasma. Please thumb up the video. That is a way of giving. If you don't want to donate cash or currency, then please just click that thumbs up button. I appreciate it very much. And I say to all, peace to the God.